Hey, what's up guys, TheCampingRusher here. Big video today. We're starting off focused on Season 2, but not only that, we've got what's happening teaser-wise for Season 2 has just leaked. Huge info on Fortnite returning to iPhone, to iOS specifically, and it's official. We'll get to that and much more. So stick with me. Let's start with Season 2. Here is the leak about the teaser. Earthquakes will start happening next update around the map as a lead up to Fortnite Chapter 5 Season 2. Now, this does get me excited. However, I'm showing you this photo. I feel like we've went through this a few times. This might be the third or fourth earthquake buildup. I'm also not upset about it. You do 28, 29 seasons, whatever we're at now, you're going to have to repeat a couple of the drastic events, right? The drastic buildups. But an earthquake, that's got something to do with our lead up to the next season. Now, we do know a lot about next season, and I've talked about it in depth. Today, we're going to focus on the Battle Pass and skins, because we know this photo I've showed you a million times if you're a fan of the channel. These are official concept survey skins, and then all put together, I believe, by Akko or Wenzo, and kind of a theory of what Greek god in Greek mythology the skin could be related to. We think next season is a Greek mythology season, and there's many reasons for that. One of the big ones is there's a bunch of bosses leaked for next season. One of them has a lightning effect, and we think that is going to be related to Zeus, of course. The code name is Aja, I still don't know how to say it, which is Samoan for family, and the Greek god pantheon is known to be a big family, and while a reach, it could be an indication. So there's a lot of evidence pointing us to a Greek mythology theme next season. What we haven't done, though, is all these skins we've looked at, but not in high quality. And if Greek mythology is happening, which we think it is, then you will see some of these skins in the Battle Pass, no doubt. We don't know which ones. We can take guesses based off, how high quality they are, how detailed they are. But I'm scrolling through now all the HDs of things that are related to Greek we think could be possible with this theme. And yeah, they look good, man. I was already fired up about this season. I think it's such a cool idea. But to see them in HD, you can start picking out what maybe you would prefer and what you think would come to the Battle Pass. And if they don't, they should still come to the item shop, right? It still should be part of the Greek item shop throughout the season, throughout the 3 months we assume that's coming. But yeah, so leave a comment down below. Out of all of these, we don't have names for these, obviously, but gold guy or whatever it is, describe it in the comments below what you would prefer. And you can see here, this is in game. We've talked about this, but there is this poster as well. We think it's a teaser for Fortnite Chapter 5 Season 2, the Odyssey 6 coming soon, kind of like a movie poster, I believe. Yeah, right at Ruined Reels there. It's looking that way, isn't it? Fire me up, man. Keep the content coming. Keep the Chapter 5 hype alive. In addition to this, we're going to talk about one thing I have mentioned, but not for a while, and that is a gameplay mechanic that could be coming next season. It's ready to go. It's in the files, or it's being worked on. And there's rope swinging, so you're going to be able to swing from rope to rope. I think Tarzan, that's my thought here. And then also there's a rope rappelling mechanic, and you can see a picture there. You'll be able to climb up ropes that you can find across the map, and this does include the swinging ropes and the chandeliers, so you'll be able to swing from chandeliers apparently as well. Now, before we talk about iOS stuff, I said in my last video we were going to talk about Lego, and there's been a massive Lego update. Tons of stuff has dropped. While I'm going through some of it, I'm going to get you to look at the Lego Fortnite Mega Battleship, and just so you have some entertainment in front of you Lego wise while I go through this. There's a lot of good stuff. In the last video we talked about rocket racing. That's why I've got it going in the background. I realized I can just play the new maps in private mode. So the first 2 games are me, private mode, testing out the new maps. Let's talk Lego. So gameplay. You can now eat while moving. You'll no longer automatically pick up tools. Crossbow arrows now have a slightly lower speed, more natural arc when shot. Added the ability to ping locations in a world. Depositing items in chests will now stack them together. Who's there? Villagers can now open doors. I know people are excited about that one. To better fit in with their environment, rams now have more health. Thrusters, balloons, switches, and wheels now give resources back when destroyed. I know that's a good one. It only works for these things that are placed after the update. If you've already done your builds, the current ones will not drop those resources, unfortunately. Eating food with a lower value stamina regen buff no longer overrides a higher value buff you already have. Villagers will now actually do their metal smelter job if assigned it. The village square will no longer get accidentally destroyed when you destroy something next to it. When starting a new world, Bright Bomber or Cuddle Team Leader will now follow you to your campsite. Even if you wander off, they'll now also properly appear every time when starting a new world. I didn't read every single post as there was a ton of different little bug fixes. I will link Fire Monkey down below as usual. He posted all this on his Twitter if you're interested in more in depth, but those were the big ones. Like I said, Lego guys, are you hyped about this? They still have so much planned content-wise, but it seemed they really honed in on quality of life changes, which I think is important. Also, though, they did add something new, and it's launch pads. As fun as it is useful, the launch pad is a toy you can build to get somewhere quickly. Place a launch pad on the ground, jump on it, and then deploy a glider, of course, and you'll get really, really far. This makes traveling a lot easier. I think that's one of the big things in the game right now. It does feel slow to get places, which is a little annoying, but a lot of these changes with the thrusters, etc., should help that. Now, here's the big Fortnite iOS news. Now, stick with me because it's interesting, entertaining. Apple is doing some dirty things, but the main thing for Fortnite users, Fortnite's tweeted this, so this is official. Remember Fortnite on iOS? How about we bring that back? Later this year, Fortnite will return in Europe on iOS through the Epic Games Store. Shout out DMA, an important new law in the EU making this possible. Apple, the world is watching. So we did talk about this. There's this new law in Europe which allows other third-party stores to basically push their games, sell their services, whatever it may be, and it doesn't have to go through Apple. And this is just Europe, so for you Europeans, enjoy. But man, has this caused some debate. So there's your Fortnite news, big deal. But the Apple part of this, and I touched on this in the finale video when we talked about basically the finale of Epic Games versus Apple. The lawsuit is basically done. Apple has won on most counts. Obviously, as you can see here, they've had a loss. This Europe thing was separate from Epic, though. This just happened, and so we're focusing on that today. So Apple is doing some dirty things, though. Like, even though this is allowed, Epic is coming back. Apple's not being nice about it. And you can see Coalition for App Fairness tweeted, Apple's plan is a shameless insult to the European Commission and the millions of European consumers that they represent. It must not stand and should be rejected by the Commission. Now, what are they talking about here? Well, Tim Sweeney, of course, CEO of Epic Games, if Apple's doing something unethical, not right, he's going to tell the world about it because he doesn't like Apple so much. Want to launch a garage startup to compete with Apple's App Store in Europe? Denied, because the price of Apple allowing you to try to compete with them is an enormous disadvantage to their anti-competitive policies because it's $1 million price tag to do this. So yes, they're allowed, but you got to pay Apple $1 million. They're just finding loopholes, man. Obviously, this isn't a big deal to Epic, but it's the guy starting up, right? It's the little guy. And here's a little calculator that kind of blew my mind. Under the App Store's new fee structure for Europe, if you make $10 million in sales, Apple's cut is $6.2 million annually. Assuming you have no operating costs or salaries, your take-home amount after tax is $2 million or 20% of your sales. I will never launch an app in Europe is what Nikita says here. And you can see basically the breakdown. I mean, we're not going to dive into it, but it's just they're finding a way to make it almost impossible to really even take advantage of this new law in Europe. So it's not going to hurt Apple at all. Will it be challenged? I'm sure. This is not the end of this story. Again, for a company like Epic Games, they're going to pay those initial fees because it's a lot better for them because they have so many sales than to give 30% cut of everything on the Apple Store, right? So they're coming back because of that. And not only that, I talked about this in the other video, in my previous video, but they also have this scare screen for consumers. And so you're a consumer, you're on iOS, you're in Europe, you go to, I believe this is when you download the app. This is what pops up. And if you watch this video, you know it's just scare tactic, but think of the millions of consumers that get scared easily, and rightfully so. Apple's a big company. They trust Apple. This app does not support the App Store's private and secure payment system. All purchases in this app will be managed by the developer. Example, fill in whoever the developer is in this case. You will no longer be transacting with Apple. Your App Store account, stored payment method, and related features such as subscription management and refund requests will not be available. Apple is not responsible for the privacy or security of transactions made with this developer and cannot verify any pricing or promotions that are offered. Okay, yes, although a lot of that stuff is true, it is just using a bunch of words to scare you to basically not support the app and not purchase things outside of Apple's system. It's just crazy, man. I find this stuff so interesting, so I hope you do as well. And it is, of course, related to Fortnite. We'll get an update on the timeline. I'll let you know as soon as we know. Subscribe, turn your noties on, touch that like button on your way out. Take care, talks, and goodbye.